So, I don't know how long it's been. I don't even know if it even... Oh yes, there it is. So, I was stuck in the institute. Pierce and Officer Bradley followed the intruder to the secret meeting place of a cult set in a network of underground caves right under the Hawkins Manor. They witnessed a strange ceremony led by a Charles Hawkins, very much alive. Bradley tried to arrest him, but Hawkins, whose body displayed various mutations, disemboweled the police officer. As he tried to escape from him, Pierce found himself prisoner of a rockfall. Rushed to the Riverside Institute, he is in a critical state. Loading screen. Do you want to watch along, Melon? Melon?
Yes.
Cookie Monster, do you want to watch along, yes or no?
Well, considering I can just go via YouTube.
Via YouTube, yeah. You'll be behind a little bit, though.
It's fine.
Enter Madness.
No thanks.
You don't have a choice.
Okay.
Main objective, escape from the asylum. So I found a hiding spot. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. I'm scared of the dark, so this is really not a game that I'll be well at. Item obtained, wheel. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Note to staff, last week's incident caused significant damage to the infrastructure, putting a stop to correct experiments. Current, not correct. This is unacceptable. From now on, the wheels to operate the gas stopcocks. Stopcocks? What's that? The gas stopcocks. Melon.
Valves?
Okay.
Okay, kind of a valve.
They must be kept in the storage room after each use. Moreover, you must keep the register of use up to date. Dr. Fuller. Nothing on the back.
The green gas leaves from here and it runs through the whole building.
I've repaired your machine as best I can, Dr. Fuller. However, the piping has been damaged and I fear that gas is escaping. I cannot do any more in such a short time. All I can do is to warn you. If the equipment is put under too much pressure, there is a risk of explosion. That's good to know.
This valve controls the pressure. Now for the next step. The duct. It's impossible to break this chain with my bare hands.
I succeeded.
Perfect.
No, 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 no. I want out. I want out. I want out. God, he just gets scared so fast. This is another of those hiding spots. I think it's too dark for you to see much, is it? Is this better? You think? Oh, it didn't do it, did it?
It's done. Now for the others. It's locked.
It's really not fun. It's instantly. Just open this immediately.
This lever must turn on the gas machine. The piping hasn't burst. Not yet, anyway.
You'll find me. You can see me. Let's calm down, please. No, don't. Ah! Ah! Pain is just information, dear Francis. Invaluable information for my research. Or kill me. Kill me. What? If you don't kill me, he will. My poor friend, I fear your mind is lost forever.
Doesn't show what he's doing to it, to that guy.
You. Yeah, you there. Come here.
What do you want?
Sleep. That's all.
Sleep. You don't want to leave?
No. Have you seen the storm that's brewing? I'm fine here. Except for one problem.
You want sleeping pills, right?
Yeah. And in exchange, I can make noise. Lots of noise.
You'll draw the guards to your cell to allow me to escape.
So, you in? Find something to make me sleep, and I'll take care of the guards for you.
Is it the noise that disturbs you?
No, it's the nightmares. We all have them here. That's what wakes us up. And afterwards, there's no way to get back to sleep.
I'll find you some pills.
Go look in the storage room. There must be sleeping pills there.
What is up, I think we got a walker.
Where do they keep their sleeping pills?
The colossal work of an aristocrat from a long generation of physicians resulted in this encyclopedic work on medicine of the past century. More complete than other works, it sometimes mentions in detail certain methods from Asia and Africa. Histories of medicine in the 19th century?
My new friend's sleeping pills. Scopolamine F.
Yep.
There's no such thing.
That'd be the
They've
19th.
created derivatives of all common medicines. If I walk, I do not stop. If I do not stop, he does not catch me. If he does not catch me, I do not sleep.
Get me out!
I do not sleep.
Don't let me sleep in here.
Where's the guy I had to give the pills to?
If I sleep, am I dead? I've got what you want.
Show me!
There. And remember, they don't come for free.
Don't you worry, you'll have your diversion. Go on now, go hide yourself. The crows! They're everywhere! Make 'em go away! calculations are always right. It's the date. They're right. 4 days maximum.
What carnage.
What the hell?
Theoretically, I've only got one lever to push.
But where is the last lever? Do I have any inventory or anything? Escape from the asylum. Clues. Inventory. What's... I just got an achievement called Jack of all trades. Inspect 50 items, it says. There's like nothing. Do I even have any sanity? My sanity is stable. Like I've got 3 points available. Validate. Yes. There's like no map of the region whatsoever. So I need to pull one more lever. But does it say anywhere what levers I need to pull?
It's locked. It's locked.
So that's 1, that's 2 pulled, that's 3, so there should be a 4th then somewhere. My god, no! Last checkpoint. My god, that just scared the crap out of me. Having a random dude right next to you.
Suddenly, I don't know.
All the levers are activated.
That's seemingly all the letters. Close that behind me.
Zoology, esotericism, mineralogy. Sarah Hawkins. She was a patient here.
Medical record of Sarah Hawkins. She was interned at Riverside for fits of insanity a while before her death. She wasn't at her first attempt with the fire in the mansion.
That Dr. Fuller again.
A document attesting to the fact that Irene Sanders, wife of Francis Sanders, had her husband interned after he had shown grave signs of madness. In a matter of examination and commitment of Francis Sanders, an insane person, to the county judge of said county, the undersigned petitioner respectfully represents and shows to your honor that Irene Sanders, a householder of this county, that Francis Sanders is an insane person and by the reason of hallucinations is suffering from self-harm, insomnia and repeated violence, and is a proper subject for confinement in an insane asylum of the state, Riverside Institute. Wherefore your petitioner prays that you cause said Francis Sanders to be brought before you at such place as you may direct, and do inquiry made as prescribed by law concerning the matter alleged in this petition.
Anatomy, anthropology, nothing surprising.
At least in Thief you can fight them off. But this does feel like Thief though, where you creep around.
Or just most stealth games. Sneak around, find the thing, escape.
There's nothing I can do here anymore. Everything is cranked up.
Let's calm down, please. Pain is just information, dear Francis. Invaluable.
That's Francis from the document.
What? If you don't kill me, he will. My poor friend, I fear your mind is lost forever.
Okay, so I got that now. Key to the guard's room. And key to the administration room.
That should draw the attention of the guards. I should hide.
Damn it! What's going on? Is there somebody?
Gotta let Fuller know. You can bet he'll blame us.
Yeah, we're not hiding the room where Fuller was just moments ago.
Doctor, is that you?
Don't you worry about the doctor. Right now, he'll have plenty to keep him busy with his precious machine. It gives us time to get away. I'll undo you.
Get away? Get away where? I can't go anywhere. It'll find me, like it found me here. You're mistaken about the beast. Don't stay with me, or you'll end up the same way.
You're Sanders, aren't you? I heard you from my cell. What did they do to you? What does Fuller want with you?
The doctor? You think it's the doctor who scares me? The doctor wants to heal me. But he's the one who's crazy. He wants to restore my sight. He wants to give me back my eyes. And yet I told him that I didn't want them. I do not want to see it anymore. The real culprit is Sarah.
talking about Sarah Hawkins.
The one and only. The legendary. There is no artist more enlightened or cursed than Sarah Hawkins.
In her office, I saw signs of a ritual, perhaps an invocation. These things, that's what makes you say she's cursed.
You're wrong. It was not an invocation, but a revocation. But she failed. And that's what counts.
What's going on this island?
I'm so sorry. We should never have met.
What are you talking about?
Destiny! It has trapped you. Don't let it see you, or you won't be able to escape it. Don't look at it. That's how it finds you.
What finds me?
Sarah Hawkins' visitor. The Shambler.
Sanders, pull yourself together.
Without her, it's no longer possible to save me.
Uh-oh.
Sanders! What the hell? I gotta. This is insane. What killed him?
There's nothing here. And upstairs?
Damn! The gas! Oh. My head.
Later. We need to move on.
I thought he died. Didn't the officer die? Okay, Hawkins mentioned Pierce woke up in an asylum installed in the cellars of the Riverside Institute. He met Dr. Colden, a female friend of Bradley who helped him to escape. Wandering through the corridors of this place where Dr. Fuller reigned supreme, Pierce was able to talk to a man called Francis Sanders. Before dying in full view of the detective, he accused Sarah Hawkins of being the cause of his torments. Pierce finally left the accursed building, accompanied by Bradley and Colden. The companions in misfortune decide to use the Hawkins mansion as a hideout. Squid.
Who goes there? That nightmare again.
You're awake, Mr. Pierce. How do you feel?
Did I sleep long?
The day is only starting. It's fine.
How's our fugitive? Dr. Fuller hasn't reported your disappearance to the force, but that'll come soon.
Bradley?
Who else would it be?
Mr. Pierce, are you all right? You look like you saw a ghost.
There are things I can't explain.
Tell us. What happened?
I have flashbacks. They haunt me.
What did they do to you?
There was that Dr. Fuller and a nurse. Blood everywhere. My legs, the pain, injected me with something. I woke up at the Institute. Bradley was there.
And how you scared us. You seemed demented.
I'm gonna do something because this sound seems to be very low. It's on max. That's a little loud. There we go.
You likely woke up during the anesthesia. No wonder those memories haunt you. What in God's name were they doing to you?
What happened afterwards?
When I woke up the second time, I was in a padded cell. That's where you found me, Doctor. After you released me, I got a good look at what's in store for the patients of the Riverside Institute. Hallucinogenic gas pumped into the cells. An infernal machine. Horrific medical experiments.
Impossible. Dr. Fuller would never do such a thing.
You should believe it, Ethan. What Mr. Pierce saw is precisely what I've been trying to prove. Did you discover anything else?
Given the energy he pours into Riverside, I presume it was Fuller's creation.
His father's, to be correct. He was a surgeon on board the Scylla. He founded the hospital in 1904 with funds from the Hawkins family before he died and his son Thomas Fuller took over.
Two families inextricably linked.
Most island families are that way. Captain Fitzroy's father was also a seaman aboard the Scylla.
Powerful families dominating everything.
Yes, and as you could tell, Dr. Fuller is like some crazed emperor.
He wouldn't be happy if he knew we were snooping around.
I know the risks. I don't fear him. Do you wish to know anything else?
I found a file bearing Sarah Hawkins' name in the Institute's basement.
It makes sense. A powerful family like the Hawkins had the means to hide such a disgrace.
But everyone knows the Fullers have been taking care of the Hawkins for at least a generation. And all were aware of Mrs. Hawkins' fragility.
Perhaps, but no one would allow a psychiatric internment.
From what I read in the file, Fuller used her as a subject of his experiments.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins, subjects of Dr. Fuller. Why those two?
Dr. Fuller seems to be leaving a trail of corpses. Not to mention those strange machines, chains, and tools of all kind.
Yes, I've been telling you that Fuller uses his patients as guinea pigs.
What I saw was more akin to torture than medicine.
Do you even hear what you're saying? Dr. Fuller is highly respected.
It's the truth, Ethan. And I'll prove it to you.
Respected or not, if he does something wrong, he still has to go to jail, right?
I heard you talking earlier.
Why am I not surprised?
I get the impression you two don't get along.
Intrusive and not very clever. Anyway, let's get back to the business at hand.
What I'm sure of now is that the Hawkins case isn't just an accident.
And what brings you to that conclusion?
The fact that Charles Hawkins survived the fire.
I don't understand. Mr. Hawkins was buried.
That's what he would have you believe.
I have a hard time believing you.
You were there, Bradley. You even opened fire on him.
I'd remember that.
Why would he fake his own death? Do you think he covered up his wife's murder?
That's possible.
Seems hard to swallow. Don't you have anything more concrete, Pierce?
I found a Darkwater PD badge. Lost a colleague recently?
What the...
Bradley.
Ethan?
I'm all right. I just had a... It's gone.
You're sure?
If it's important, it'll come back. But I can't explain why Dr. Fuller would have that badge.
The man's a danger, believe me.
What can we do, Pierce?
Bradley, What do you remember?
I don't understand your question.
The night we went into the Hawkins mansion. You don't seem to remember the tunnels and what occurred there.
No memory of going down any tunnel. No, we were in the manor then,
Then what?
The rest is quite blurry. I don't recall how I came back home.
And then?
I went to visit you at the hospital and called on Marie's help to get you released.
And you don't remember the events of the tunnel?
I don't. Let's talk about something else.
I met a Francis Sanders. Do you know him?
Of course, he's a patient. Or was. I haven't seen him since Dr. Fuller had him transferred to the basement.
He knew Sarah Hawkins, and that's what killed him.
What? How did he die?
I'm not sure I can explain it.
Tell me how Mr. Sanders died.
Sanders started screaming and convulsing.
Convulsing? That doesn't fit with his history.
And his body got all crooked.
What in God's name? And you were alone with him?
He accused Sarah Hawkins of being the culprit.
Sarah Hawkins? Have I missed something here? This makes no sense. I don't see how it can help crack the Hawkins case.
You really think she's involved? How could she have murdered Mr. Sanders?
Francis Sanders mentioned Mrs. Hawkins just before dying. It's no coincidence.
You know, Francis Sanders was a well-known art collector. I guess you can still pay a visit to his wife, Irene Sanders.
An art collector, you say? That's probably how they met.
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
You're right. Without a plausible explanation for it all, let's not jump to conclusions.
That seems wise indeed.
Very well.
This will
I'll go to
affect
see
your
Francis's
destiny.
widow. Perhaps I'll find a link between her husband's death and Sarah Hawkins.
Don't end up in the hospital this time.
I'll do my best.
Is there anything I missed? On this side? No. Sanders' residence. Pierce, Golden, and Bradley decided to team up to solve the Sarah Hawkins case. They have a new trail to follow: Francis Sanders, an art collector and friend of the painter who died right in front of Pierce. The detective goes to his house in order to speak to his widow about the shambler that the unfortunate man mentioned before he died. This looks like an art museum in the background.
What can I do for you, sir?
Mrs. Sanders, I'm a private detective. We must talk about your husband and his ties to Sarah Hawkins. Can I come in?
You may. However, before we go any further, please know that my husband died yesterday.
That is precisely what brings me here.
Well, well, look who's here.
Cat with the beautiful colored hair.
You know each other. Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me. You're investigating Francis' death. Why? Who hired you?
I spoke to Francis before he died. His story suggests a link to a case I'm working on.
Well, since this business has got nothing to do with me, I'll be in your husband's office, Irene. We'll carry on later. Very well, Miss Baker. This way, Mr. Pierce. And do make yourself comfortable. It would seem that you have much to tell me.
Some of these artworks are a little bit creepy.
May I inquire as to when you had the opportunity to talk to my husband?
Yesterday. I met him at the hospital. He spoke to me about Sarah Hawkins.
Oh, of course he spoke to you about her. That's all he talked about. Sarah Hawkins and her paintings. Please forgive my tone. The fact is that I have not been allowed to see him since he was interned. You, on the other hand, a perfect stranger, were able to see him and even talk with him the day he died. How was he? Were you present when he had this attack? What happened?
I expected to find you more grief-stricken than this by the death of your husband.
I do not like the tone of your allusion, sir. I had long months to weep every tear in my body, and to accept, if not my fate, at least that of my husband. And so I'm sorry to disappoint you if you're expecting more hysteria and grieving widow in my voice. Rest assured, however, my anger is real. I need to understand. How could this happen? In a reputed institute? And right before your eyes? Did you not do anything to help him?
So ask Fuller, he's the eminent doctor. But I would caution you, you'll find his treatments more terrifying than the illnesses he sets out to cure.
That churl no longer takes the trouble to receive me. He sends his secretary to tell me that I cannot see Francis. Me, his own widow. He must think that I am a terrible wife for having abandoned him in such a way. But I only wanted what was best for him.
I'm not here to condemn you, Mrs. Sanders.
Oh, I'm tired, Mr. Pierce. I would be grateful if you could tell me what you expect of me, and then leave.
How did you come to meet Sarah Hawkins?
We were the wealthiest and most influential families on Darkwater. Of course we would know each other. And when Charles returned from Europe with his sweet little artist, she and his sinister paintings were destined to catch my husband's eye. He bought many of her works over the last 5 years. They adorn his macabre gallery.
Did your husband talk to you about Sarah Hawkins' visitor? A shambler, to use his precise terms.
Well, you can imagine that's all he talked about. It's exhibited at the center of the gallery. No better place for the painting that endowed him with the privilege of such a shameful and miserable end to his life.
Hold on. The Shambler is a painting by Sarah Hawkins.
Who else to paint such horrors? Take a look for yourself, if you feel so inclined.
It is my only lead at this stage. I suppose I have nothing to lose.
Then you have paid no heed. For my part, I refuse to set foot in that gallery again. But if you're so eager to see it...
Thank you, Mrs. Sanders. I won't be long. Did she really care for him after all?
Dear Madam, I acknowledge receipt of the letter in which you demand the body of your deceased husband. I am sorry to inform you that I cannot agree to return his body to you. At the moment of his interment, you signed a discharge allowing me to dispose of his body as I see fit. I extend my deepest condolences, Thomas Fuller. What an asshole. Sorry to use that word.
The day the Shambler came into the Sanders' lives.
A photograph of Sarah Hawkins next to the Sanders. They must be close. Why can't I do anything with this? Okay.
Francis Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close. Friends, even? A house of artists. Sanders' accession register. He wrote beside the Shambler. Finally. What did Sarah Hawkins fear so much that she didn't want to sell the painting? He finally won. Was Sanders aware of his imminent doom? Was she jealous of Sarah Hawkins? She first refused to sell the painting. How did that make her feel?
What?
Shambler. I need to see it.
What? Breviary of Medicine, Tome 2. The second volume in this series covers everything from gas gangrene to trench nephritis. In addition to the precise and detailed study, the book presents some avant-garde techniques. The incredible complexity of this book reserves it for medical experts. She just lets me snoop through her house, though. Was that me or did that painting just move?
Let's see what this cylinder has to say once it's inserted in a phonograph.
An audio recording that Francis Sanders left for his wife. Why would you hang these things up in your house, though? This is okay, I guess. Not my kind of thing.
A strange Amerindian pendant.
An ancient amulet, probably Amerindian. I wonder what its purpose could be.
I could use one of those.
Sleeping pills? Or they described to Sanders. The Whale and the Cod, or A Brief History of Darkwater by Irwin Greenmouth. It is focused on the past glory of the island.
Strange. For months, Sarah Hawkins refused to part with her painting, to finally give it away for nothing.
Dear Francis, I beg you to give up all the hope of ever owning this accursed painting. If our friendship has any meaning for you, please spare me that weight of your guilt. I cannot be the architect of your fall. I beg you, my dear friend, forget the Shambler. Your friend, Sarah Hawkins.
Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
This volume spends some time on Reverend Wickwood's community. His wife expresses her worries about the strange dreams that the Reverend's congregation are having since their arrival on the island. Some members of the community, her husband included, began to speak of their vision as a messenger sent by God. She is scared that they will suffer the same fate as the lost tribe. What is Cat doing here, though? It's a kind of encyclopedia of monstrous and unknown creatures. I'm beginning to believe that they exist. Wait, wood? Dissertation on an anatomical question. It is the work of a student in book form. Although the observations are relevant, they lack the expertise of an experienced physician. However, the questions asked allow us to imagine new ways of exploring human anatomy. Medicine increased. Let's talk to Cat. Oh no, wait, there's something here. Key to the gallery.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Some can be more fatal than others. What have you come looking for in this gallery?
Another painting by Sarah Hawkins. One connected to the horrors I've discovered on this island.
What a surprise. I'm listening.
And you? What brings you to the Sanders home?
I'm here on business. Irene asked me to liquidate all these paintings. She doesn't intend to hang around here for long.
Why you?
Believe it or not, there aren't many collectors on Darkwater. It needs someone with a network, and a means of transport to the mainland. A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say? Not now, sweetheart. I'd like to read this without some snoop looking over my shoulder.
It said, don't look at it. I don't want to look at it. Let's have a look around first. Oil. I refilled my oil.
Why was he so interested in old weapons? Why was he so interested in old weapons?
And like, there's hiding spots everywhere. I'm not going to that yet.
The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
What the hell?
These artifacts date from pre-Columbian times.
This one has a skull on his face even. And this looks like a giant cog. He says it's a hub. Why are these runes glowing on those tablets? What is that supposed to be? I don't like how there's hiding spots everywhere in the house. I guess. Sorry. Why did you not listen? Oh god. Hide, you fool.
What the hell was that?
What am I supposed to do then? Okay, just one sec. The case. Just says Sanders residence, doesn't say anything. Sanders and Sarah Hawkins were close, it's undeniable. The widow didn't tell me everything, but her house speaks for her. Everything began with Francis Sanders' obsession with the Shambler, an exceptional painting in more ways than one. So, lighter, audio recording, lamp, key to the gallery. Cross-checking the information given by Francis Sanders and his widow, it is possible to reconstruct the events that led to the internment of Sanders. Everything points to Sanders and Sarah Hawkins being close, linked at least by the interest the collector showed in the artist's work, but more probably by a certain friendship, attested by the repeated refusals of Sarah Hawkins to sell the painting called The Shambler. Against all expectations, she finally gave it away for free. The feelings still shown by Irene Sanders towards Sarah Hawkins are evidently derived from what she considers to be the artist's responsibility. Madness struck Sanders a short while after he gained possession of the painting. I got 10 points. Let's do that. And that.
No way out. No choice. I must get rid of it.
Oh god. What did you say?
I think you just got spooked.
Oh god. So, skip this.
What the hell was that?
Oh my god, he saw me again. How would I even do this? Oh, one of the weapons probably.
Down, maybe.
Oh god, too late. And just the moment I think of it. Maybe one of the weapons.
What the hell was that?
How do I even use my lantern again?
Damn. Maybe I can use this dagger.
How am I even supposed to use it though? So I know I can just grab hold of it, of the dagger.
What the hell was that?
Wait a sec. Clues of chapter 5. No. 4. Didn't I find something? Inventory? No, I had a dagger in my inventory. Where is it? This. I have to find that.
Damn. Maybe I can use this dagger. I can't even touch it.
How am I supposed to use this? Malin, could you look it up? Because I really don't know. How am I supposed to... Yeah.
Don't know if the game actually told.
It didn't. It just said, like, it just showed me daggers. That's all. Old weapons.
I know the thing for that, based on the information it gave you about this shamble.
Don't look at it.
Yep. Not that. Where it came from.
Oh, the painting.
What the hell was that?
How am I supposed to...
Damn. Maybe I can use this dagger.
Get in the closet. It's stuck in place.
Damn it! This dagger didn't work.
But what dagger is it?
Good question.
What the hell was that?
I saw a ritual dagger somewhere. Just open these up. Stained badge, the medical records, the photograph, the painting. What's this? The dagger. So, ritual dagger. Try and find this.
Damn. Maybe I can use this dagger. Damn it! This dagger didn't work. Damn it! I have to use a specific dagger.
Yeah, but which one is the specific dagger?
Furthest corner where you start. Get the twisted double-bladed dagger in the case below the tablet on the.
This dagger looks different.
Yeah, it just said that the dagger looks different. Thank you.
Yeah, probably.
Stab it! Did I just get infected?
What's the matter with you? You sure you won't be needing that hand? You're losing it, Detective. At this rate, you're right. The bottle will get you before I do.
You didn't see anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
Sanders was right. This painting is cursed.
What are you talking about?
I was attacked by a creature. I pushed it back, I think.
I think so too.
You knew. You knew about the beast.
What are you talking about? Think yourself lucky that I saved your hand, even if it was to save my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery. And by the way, where do you think you're going with that dagger?
It saved my life. It's an extraordinary dagger.
You should talk to Algernon Drake. He's an antique dealer here on Darkwater. He'll tell you all about it. From what I saw in the ledgers, it was him who sold it to Sanders.
The creature. This dagger was the only weapon capable of pushing it back. If Hawkins was trying to get rid of this shambler, she might have made contact with Drake. This antique dealer has a good knowledge of the occult. I have nothing to lose by meeting him.
You've got your spunk back. Go where you want. I'm staying here to talk business with Irene.
The Nameless Bookstore. The Shambler turned out to be much more than an artwork painted by Sarah Hawkins, as a huge creature came out of the painting to attack Pierce. After a hard fight, the detective managed to send it back into the painting. He later discovered that the dagger he used to repel the creature had been sold to Sanders by a man named Algernon Drake, owner of the Nameless Bookstore. Pierce decides to pay the library a visit. But there's blood on the window and someone broke in, clearly. Did you notice that every time something something is gonna happen, everything is greenish?
Another volume of the Reverend's wife's diary.
The pastor declared himself to be the prophet. He renounced God and worshipped a strange pagan entity with a monstrous appearance. His wife tried to reason with her husband, but in vain. He was convinced that he must listen to his voice in his head, because it holds the truth. Let's just have a look around for the book, shall we? It's another here.
Freud's The Interpretation of Dreams. It's the work that laid the foundations of psychoanalysis at the beginning of this century.
The Interpretation of Dreams. This practical work, written by Sigmund Freud for psychologists, described the techniques of analytical interpretation of dreams. The analysis must follow several rules, especially that of free association, a principle announced by Freud at the end of the 19th century. It treats dreams as a way of revealing buried desires. I cannot believe that this theory is applicable to my nightmares. Yeah, I don't think you want to you desire something killing you. No matter how bad you feel. History of Darkwater, Volume 4. In the 19th century, as the American whaling industry reached its peak in the rest of the world, whales gradually disappeared from the waters surrounding Darkwater. This phenomenon appears even more mysterious because up till then the region was a favored refuge for cetaceans? Is that what you call them? In 1847, after months of pursuits, Scylla returns to port with a gigantic creature on board. Its crew asserts that the sea monster had eaten all the disappeared whales. After a night of ferocious combat, the survivors managed to drag the beast onto the whaling ship. There's a green lamp here. Anatomy. I'll go there after. Let's check this corner first. Volume 2. A Puritan colony led by Reverend John Wickwood settled on the island during the 17th century. They named the island Darkwater because of the dark shades of the sea. They believed it was because of the peculiar color of the rocks surrounding the island. They erected the first buildings, among which were the Hawkins Manor, the church, and a cemetery. The rare documents and handwritten notes they left spoke of nightmares and deviant behaviors. They disappeared at the beginning of the 18th century. The Lost Colony. Anything else? More anatomy. Handbook on Anatomy and Dissection Book 2, as precise and illustrated with as much detail as the first volume. This book focuses on healing surgery specific to malformations and motor disorders. Breviary of Medicine Tome 3. Even a few years back, it was possible for a single practitioner to know all of the medical knowledge of this time. This book, which concludes the series, shows that this is now virtually impossible. About 10 renowned doctors took part in putting together this collection.
What happened here?
Blinding light.
Let's start over. Where did they break in from? Blood. Seems like amateur work. Someone tall left this footprint. A man, probably. This burglar seems to be rather clumsy. What sort of thief leaves his tools at the crime? What killed all these animals? What happened that made the burglar flee before finishing his work? What the? Charles Hawkins? What sort of power did Sarah Hawkins' painting possess? Sarah Hawkins helped hide something in this safe. Drake put in a great deal of effort to hide whatever is in here. Everything is linked to the Sarah Hawkins case.
Superpowers, I guess. Blind.
Is everyone on this island taking sleeping pills? What link did he find between Charles Hawkins and an old amulet?
It's the pentagram from on the thingy. This key that bears the Elder's sign is the only one able to protect your psyche. It is in the form of a cylindrical medallion hanging at the end of a heavy chain. Hundreds of years ago, the star and the branch, whose purpose is to push back the forces of the great old ones, were engraved at its center. Everything points to it being Charles Hawkins that tore it from its last owner, an Egyptian antique dealer. In press cuttings that mentioned the misdemeanor, the date of the robbery coincides with the last of Hawkins' trips to Cairo. It remains to be seen whether he knows of the true purpose of the artifact. Try to find it. I need to find the code for this, so it should be here.
Drake left instructions on how to find the combination of his safe.
A page seems to be hidden here. It is possible to read. If somebody finds these memoirs, there will be no doubt that I am in serious trouble. My last and only hope is that my body and bones are still in this plane of reality. In order that they can be recovered and burned, the funeral urn must be given to my dear mother if she's still of this world. The following message is of capital importance. Whoever reads these lines and demonstrates acuity as sharp as mine can hope to gain access to my most precious possession. It lies within my safe, and the clues to the combination are to be found in 3 cylinders, each hidden where life and study combine in the Greek world. Each cylinder is numbered, even if, as the celebrated author says, order is the pleasure of reason, but disorder is the delight of the imagination. Indeed, despite my preference for organized chaos, I must admit that reason usually prevails in the end. If by chance a person, or should I say a genius, was to match my intelligence and find the combination of the safe, I would ask that they deliver its content into the safekeeping of my friend and colleague Professor Armitage of Miskatonic University. The content of this safe is not only a vast digest of knowledge, but also a weapon that is far too dangerous for it to fall into the wrong hands. I hope that you will be able to appreciate the danger that this represents, and that you will act accordingly. In any event, I will neither be there to guide you nor to suffer from your actions. Handbook on Anatomy and Dissection, Book 1. The least that can be said about this book is that its title is well conceived. The illustrations of human anatomy and dissection methods presented are illustrated in great detail. You have to have a strong heart or the detachment proper to doctors to consult its pages.
What a strange amulet. I have a feeling I'd better not touch it.
A strange amulet. The pendant is the shape of a large dog. I don't know what it represents. I might find more out by searching the bookstore. The Hound. Oh, I forgot to put my 10 points. The burglary and the file. Charles Hawkins, occupation ship owner still. Art dealer. Oh, that's the creepy thing. The cellars, the tunnels, the bookstore I'm in now, the mansion. So the Shambler comes from a dark and inhospitable dimension where the rarity of food sources keeps it in a state of permanent starvation. This is why it is in a constant state of readiness to travel to other dimensions in order to feed on its inhabitants. So that's why when you look at the painting that it comes out of it, probably. Make sure you never weaken the veils of your dimension, otherwise you risk attracting this very dangerous creature. Should this happen, you just have to lay eyes upon it for its being to anchor itself in your dimension and to allow it to rip you open with its claws. So the Hound. Do not make the mistake of taking this jewel for an inanimate object. The soul of a powerful sorcerer, devourer of bodies of the Lang cult, a sect from Central Asia, lies in this jade amulet. His very characteristic form, a massive hunting dog, represents the transformation of the sorcerer into a man-eating ghoul. Whoever unearths the amulet and wears it around his neck is at risk of the sorcerer's wrath. The latter will return in the shape of a formidable hunter to track and dismember all defilers. So the dagger of the ancients that I used, again with the star on it. This exceptional dagger of Ottoman origin probably dates from the 16th century. It bears the elder sign on its hilt. It apparently belonged to Bargali Ibrahim Pasha, Grand Vizier at the court of Suleiman the Magnificent. Legend tells that Bargali used the symbol on the dagger to protect the court from a creature that haunted the mirrors of the palace. What is certain is that Suleiman had his vizier executed. Did he fear him after this demonstration of power? The painting of the Shambler. The painting was exposed in Francis Sandler's gallery, but I think that the creature no longer requires it for movement. I went to hunt down Sanders in the cellars of the Riverside Institute. I do not know where it comes from, but one thing is sure, it's starving. Did I succeed in sending it back to its world? I am not sure. Edward Pierce. Sanity shaken. The ordeals you have gone through have left their mark, but you still manage as best you can. You keep your mind busy in order to chase away doubts and painful memories. You still have some way to go. Who knows where your mind could lead you along the path of insanity. It is in Francis Sanders' private gallery that Pierce discovers the identity of the Shambler, a huge artwork. When you approached it, it burst forth, chased after you. This beast from another dimension has such a hold on the mind of a person who finds himself in its presence that a simple glance in its direction is enough for Pierce to lose some sanity. Pierce finally managed to send it back, using a dagger with a symbol and left a mark on the psyche. These are the books I found. But, like, everyone is using these sleeping pills. Are those maybe manufactured like the other, like the other, like what are they called? The medicines that I found in the basement. Could be that everyone is taking these medicines that make them forget things or, like, not see things and things like that. Might not just be, like, ordinary sleeping pills. Malleus Bestiarum. Pierce read an ancient treatise, the Malleus Bestiarum. This bestiary makes an inventory of numerous creatures from the occult world or parallel dimensions. The very nature of its knowledge makes it an unholy book. By reading it, he lost some of his sanity. I should have left that thing alone.
Arkham editions. Never heard of him.
Written by Hermes Trismegistus, translated and edited by this collection of texts on different beliefs was written by a legendary philosopher. It includes a translation of the Emerald Tablet, a popular text among 16th century alchemists, part of the Arkham Anthology. A collection of treatises and works on esotericism and the supernatural.
How many volumes are there in this collection?
A collection of essays again.
Another volume by Arkham Editions.
Linda. Text claims that in the distant past, Europe and other continents were controlled by the mothers of this people, and moreover that our alphabet is derived from the Frisian language.
Arkham Editions. Never heard of him. How many volumes are there in this collection?
Opera in 8 acts. Said that the opera was performed only once, resulting in an audience riot that left several dead and missing.
Another volume by Arkham Editions.
It's a re-edition. Various rituals of invocation and rituals of curse. Is there anything else?
Cylinders that Drake tried to hide. I should perhaps listen to them.
How am I even able to listen to them though? One, two, three. But there's also the cylinder of the husband that I had to listen to and I didn't. How do I listen to cylinders, by the way? Would you read the book?
What does this strange book contain? This book contains unholy knowledge.
Let's scan the Malleus Bestiarum. Divinities from the stars, creatures capable of traveling from one dimension to the other, but that's the Shambler. without giving details on the mythology to which it refers. Its pages are covered with phantasmagorical illustrations.
The Book of Zion is the foundational work behind Helena Blavatsky's theosophical movement. Its followers place truth on the same footing as a religion.
These Tibetan writings are at the origin of the movement by Helen Nedet at the end of the 19th century. Would have drawn extensively on the text of this work, but no one has ever been able to consult them. I thought they didn't exist. This book, discovered in the Nameless Store, could be as much a fake as irrefutable proof of Blavatsky's sincerity. Occultism. Nothing else. I need to find the clues though. Do I press L to turn this thing off? No. How do I get rid of my lantern though? Because I don't want to use up the oil.
And these red drops, like precious stones, lie fixed, set in divine gold. To be the guardian of the Grail does not protect me from its attractions, Henry. And I do confess it. I am willing to pay to know its secrets.
Die such a... Let's... There, control. Keyboard. Light. Middle mouse button.
I finally understood that we were only pieces on the chessboard of the gods. Let those of us who are still standing protect our White Queen from their dark soldiers. I see our number dwindling, and my will strengthens as my apprehension grows. We shall refuse to be the playthings of destiny. Dear friend, I thank you again for the anthology of the works of Arkham editions that you sent me. Volume 9, Azathoth and Other Horrors, seemed particularly relevant to my research. I never tire of browsing through them.
How am I supposed to open the safe?
The Queen has little protection.
Is there anything I'm missing?
So these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message. What did Drake say about this collection?
He said something about number 6.
Drake talked
6.
about a particular volume. So these are the volumes that...
7,
what did Drake say about this
7,
collection? Drake talked about a particular...
9,
so these are the volumes that
7,
Drake was... What did Drake say
this
about
one.
this collection? Drake talked about a particular volume.
Yes, I know. A collection of poems, also known as the Nightmare Lyrics. This collection of poems was sensationally received when first published in 1908. Derby was only 18 years old. He said something about number 6.
Dear friend, I thank you again for the anthology of the works of Arkham editions that you sent me. Volume 9, Azathoth and Other Horrors, seemed particularly relevant to my research. I never tire of browsing through them.
fill that up just in case.
So
9.
these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
Something on the back here. It said 9, so I don't
What did
understand.
Drake say about this collection?
1908? It was number 9, so...
Drake talked about a particular volume.
He was 18 years old. But that can't possibly be
So
it.
these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
Book of Zen, Marius, Bestiarum. Why isn't it like doing it?
And these red drops, like precious stones, lie fixed, set in divine gold. To be the guardian of the Grail does not protect me from its attractions, Henry. And I do confess it. I am willing to pay to know its secrets. I finally understood that we were only pieces on the chessboard of the gods. Let those of us who are still standing protect our White Queen from their dark soldiers. I see our number dwindling, and my will strengthens as my apprehension grows. We shall refuse to be the playthings of destiny. Dear friend, I thank you again for the anthology of the works of Arkham editions that you sent me. Volume 9, Azathoth and Other Horrors, seemed particularly relevant to my research. I never
Azathoth and
tire of
Other
browsing through them.
Horrors.
What did Drake say
Volume
about? Drake talked
3.
about a
Yeah.
particular. So these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message. What did Drake say about this?
6,
Drake talked about a
8,
particular. So these are the volumes that
9, the
Drake
Key of
was. What
Solomon.
did Drake say about this
Key of
collection?
Solomon.
Drake talked about a particular volume.
It's not in here. Where is the Key of Solomon?
So these are the volumes
that's
that
the
Drake
one.
was talking about in his message.
So I was right. Number 9, but it's like nothing I can do. Arkham Anthology number 9. That's enough and Other Horrors. Edward Beekman Derby. But it doesn't let me click anything or press E or...
What did Drake say about this collection?
And then on the back there's something there, but I can't see if that's what I need, because it's like barely readable. I thought maybe 9, like, and the Roman
Drake talked
numeral
about a
is
particular
I,
volume.
so 1, and then X is 10, so 110, but that's not it. 19 0. Mm, 19 8. I really don't know. This is the correct volume.
So these are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
Based on L.W. de Lawrence original. It's a re-edition.
What did Drake say about this
Re-edition.
collection? Drake talked about a particular volume.
It's not the
So
right
these
person.
are the volumes that Drake was talking about in his message.
Nope.
What did Drake say about this collection?
Nope.
Drake talked
You got
about
the
a
clue.
particular volume.
What?
You've got the clues, right?
So, I've had those cylinders that I found here in the corner. If I listen to them, it tells me to look at anthology number 9.
So these are the volumes
Asentoth
that
and
Drake
Other
was talking
Horrors.
about in his message.
But when I go to it, to the book, there is nothing I can do with it. But
Did
it's
you listen to the others?
there. Yeah, I listened to 1, 2, and 3.
Listen to 1 and 2 again.
And these red drops, like precious stones, lie fixed, set in divine gold. To be the guardian of the Grail does not protect me from its attractions, Henry. And I do confess it. I am willing to pay to know its secrets.
The Red Grail.
Chalice of knowledge.
This goblet seemed to be very ancient. It seems to be made of gold and decorated with real precious stones. Do they make a specific motif? 1, 2, 3, 4? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So that's number 1 is 5 then. Then the other one is with the white queen is 4 on the board. And 9. No? So how many black things are there on the board then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So no, that's not possible. So maybe 7? 7 or 3 for the white things. So 5, 7 and 9. What about 3? 3. Next to the queen. I got it. Thank you. For slapping me on the wrist.
Yeah, welcome.
Triangle. Illuminati confirmed. Oh, that's an eye. That's the same eye from his nightmares. And now everything is underwater. Riverside Institute again, really? In the nameless bookstore, Pierce traced the trail of an unattempted burglary. He discovered that Charles Hawkins was behind the attempt. He opened the bookseller's safe to find that the letter Sarah Hawkins had hidden there. A book covered in human skin. Light inside irresistibly attracted the detective. When he opened it, his mind was projected into another body. Okay. There's occult stuff going on.
Of course there's occult stuff going on. It called the Cthulhu. If there isn't cult stuff going on, it's not a
Smart ass. But like, just touching a book, projecting your mind, just a little bit.
Colgan, this man's condition is deteriorating.
What says Dr. Fuller? It's his patient, after all.
He's busy with Captain Fitzroy. He specifically asked us not to bother him when that's the case.
Oh, of course. I'll see what I can do. Mr. Blake, can you hear me? I'm Dr. Colden. We'll take care of you.
There's nothing we can do. I tried talking to him. He's catatonic.
Did you inject him with a tranquilizer?
No, Doctor. Not me, not anyone. Our stock is empty, yet again.
Again? But there was enough for the whole island.
More and more people are suffering from insomnia. We can't refuse to help.
Of course.
Any idea what this man might be undergoing?
What can you tell me about him?
He was highly agitated an hour ago. We were about to tie him down when he fell asleep. 10 minutes ago, he curled up into a fetal position. I thought he was waking up, but no.
What are his symptoms?
His temperature has been going down, his skin losing its color, his body rigid. I closed his eyes myself. They were glassing over. I didn't want them to dry out, and I couldn't bear to look at the expression on his face.
You did well. Don't worry. Let's stay professional, if you will. I don't recognize him. Did he just arrive on the island?
He said he worked on the docks, but not with Captain Fitzroy. I think he works for Ms. Baker.
Who?
You know, the woman at the head of their gang. They call her Cat.
Oh, I see.
Do you have other questions?
Show me his file.
That's not possible.
Don't tell me Dr. Fuller has taken this file as well. We need it.
That's why I called you. This man's ailment has been hidden from us.
Come on now. What was he treated for?
An intoxication, I was told. After inhaling chemicals.
That'll do for the time being.
Any idea what this man might be undergoing?
Very well. I'll examine him. His skin shows abnormal loss of color and seems dried out. He's totally dehydrated. His fingertips and toes seem to feature a slight ring under the skin. Tender at the touch. Slightly sticky.
Finger and toes, ring under the skin, tender at the touch, slightly sticky. That makes me think of octopi.
Severe malnutrition. Swollen abdomen with traces of petechia. Doesn't seem like an edema. Slight protuberances seem to indicate the presence of a foreign body.
There's something inside of him.
30-year-old subject. Severe hypothermia. Erythematous papules around the eyes and eardrums. Necrosed palpebral tissue. Lord, this smell.
So, Doctor, an opinion?
He's already dead.
I'm not sure I have the necessary knowledge to treat this man.
Don't say that. You're our most worthy doctor after Dr. Fuller.
Some of his symptoms are beyond my comprehension.
What did you find?
Did you examine his abdomen? It would seem there's something inside.
He hasn't eaten in days. Are you certain it's not an edema?
No. Can't you recognize an edema? Pushing with your finger won't leave a trace. And look at these bumps.
It's not like he could be pregnant.
Whatever it is, this man has something inside him that shouldn't be there. We should operate on him at once.
Dr. Fuller said not to worry, that the edema would go away by itself.
You know, I'm not sure Dr. Fuller is telling the truth. I see signs of hypodermoclysis, but he's still dehydrated. When was his last IV?
He's constantly under perfusion. I've even gone beyond the recommended dose to no avail. And you won't believe me, but when we bathed him earlier...
He seemed to feel better?
Yes. Like he needs an aquarium, not a perfusion. But that doesn't explain his condition.
In spite of the muscle contractions, his arms seem limp.
Yes. They can't have decalcified, not at this rate.
And yet, if there is a bone in this arm, it's softer than that of a newborn baby. What about his cranium?
It's soft at the touch. It does seem like the skull of a baby.
Look at these sticky rings growing at his fingertips. What can be happening?
I'm sure you'll find an explanation. You have to.
I almost don't believe it myself, but these symptoms are not those usually associated with the human species.
What do you mean?
So,
Don't tell me you believe in extraterrestrials.
he died and now he's got a squid in him.
This poor man is from our world, all right. But his body is undergoing unnatural mutations. And this transformation is killing him. His body simply can't cope.
Where could he have gotten such an infection?
I pray that it's not here.
Dr. Colden, may I know what you're doing to my patient?
What I'm doing? How about what you've done to him?
Let us calm down, my dear Marie. I don't appreciate your tone, nor your insinuations. I've done to him what I do to all my patients, provide him with the best available care.
Your imagination is without limit. It's your homemade drug again, is it not? Those people are not your guinea pigs.
There, there. What have you seen to put you in such a state?
His limbs, his body temperature. I don't know what experiments you've undertaken, but this is going too far.
Oh, I sense some excitement beneath your indignation. Could it be you wish to join me in my scientific endeavors?
Are you nuts?
You are a brilliant physician, Dr. Fuller, but this man has the attributes of some kind of animal.
Fascinating. An animal, you say? Could you be more precise? Cephalopod, perhaps?
This amuses you.
Your reaction does. I know your thirst for knowledge, Doctor. It's your innocent worries for this man that have you overreacting.
For this man, and the others whose medical files you've been hiding.
I have to protect my discovery. These people owe me their life, but the world isn't ready yet. It will be, in time.
I will not let you do this.
You disappoint me, Marie, but I still have hope you'll one day share my point of view. In the meantime, take care of your own patients and try not to forget who you're dealing with.
Was that a threat? What did he mean?
It was a warning. Dr. Fuller is this institution's founder and one of our profession's most influential voices. My word is of no weight against his. If I continue to protest, I will only ruin my reputation and career.
It's scandalous. Can't we do anything? Is there no evidence of his crimes?
I disapprove of Fuller's methods, but his treatments have saved more lives than I can count.
And Mr. Blake? You said yourself he was dying.
I don't know what to think for now. What I'm sure of is that Fuller is hiding something from us, and I need to know what that is before I take a chance exposing him.
And where would you find those? in his office. What if you get caught?
I'd rather not think about that. I'm counting on your discretion.
Of course, Doctor. You can count on me. I'll keep mum.
New objective. Consult diary. Get to Fuller's office.
This place draws you in and never lets you go. Chronic insomnia. Like half the island.
No, you're pulling my leg. I'm not joking. I saw the schedule. She's alone in the bathroom again. And she still says nothing to that old witch, Donovan?
Oh, listen to the way you talk, you naughty girl. And the answer is no. You can imagine that she doesn't dare say a thing. That silly goose lets herself be trodden on.
Oh well, at least we won't have to clean for a while.
And just wait and see the next time the water's cut.
Everybody says
It's a real
she's a
show.
witch, an old hag. I didn't make this up. And I'm the one who pays. What a pest.
Elizabeth? You all right? Why is this room in such a state?
Because, as always, I'm cleaning it by myself. And the water was once again shut off this morning. I had to bother Mrs. Donovan again, giving her a new excuse to belittle me.
Come now. Don't let that witch sap your morale. We're lacking in qualified personnel and she knows it. Her petty punishments won't last forever.
I'm trying, Doctor. I'm trying. It's just that sometimes I imagine she shuts down the water herself, just for the pleasure of harassing me.
Her time is much too precious for these kind of petty games.
Anyway, I've learned my lesson. I'll hold my tongue next time.
Courage, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Doctor.
It's temperamental, if I understand correctly. I don't have any business in the boiler room. Let's hope I can go through the administration office.
Let's snoop around first. Reference Book of Medical Sciences. Like a dictionary, this work references in alphabetical order all the medical sciences known and practiced in the modern world. For each of the entries, the major works and the names of the reference authorities are listed. And another hiding place.
I have little time for you, Doctor. You'll find out that it's not only the doctors who have things to do. Wait a minute. Where do you think you're going? Dr. Colden.
Mrs. Donovan.
Nobody goes into Dr. Fuller's office. But rest assured, I'll tell him you came by.
That won't be necessary. Thank you.
I will tell him, nonetheless.
The door to the boiler room is locked. I have to get the key if I wish to get rid of Donovan. This man, Edward Pierce, his file is incomplete. What did Fuller do to him?
The file is strangely incomplete and a detail on treatment is not given. It does not respect standard practices.
Dr. Colden, we need you at once in Dormitory B.
Would you know where the key to the boiler room is?
Betty didn't put it back in its place. Well, she took it to lock the door.
I'll ask her. Thank you.
But if I may say so, Doctor, I think that the problems of our patients are more urgent than the plumbing.
What is the problem?
Mr. Evans seems to be having trouble with his IV.
I'll see to it right away.
And the family of Mrs. Harding is asking to see her medical file.
I'll never understand why it's so hard to see patients' files around here.
Rules are rules. See, with Dr. Fuller, he's in charge. Anyhow, they're still waiting, and I don't think they'll leave until they get what they want.
Understood. Anything else?
As a matter of fact, yes. A man has been brought up from the basement.
Oh. What state is he in now?
You should go see for yourself, Doctor. Dr. Colden, here you are at last. This patient was again brought up to the psychiatric wing. We've been following the treatment you prescribed, but the dysgeusia persists and he's lost a great deal of weight. We haven't been able to move him. The stress makes him hyperallergic.
Sir, I am going to examine you. Do you understand? Inject him with a dose of pentobarbital, intramuscular, so that I can conduct the clinical examination. He bit his lips so much, they're still bleeding. White froth, evidently because of such drooling. His binds left bloody wounds.
So, Doctor, what should we do with this patient?
You did good work. The tranquilizer is kicked in. Now you can disinfect and bandage his wounds.
Thank you, Doctor. And as to his weight loss?
I'll prescribe an antifungal treatment for his dysgeusia. In the meantime, feed him intravenously.
It'll be done.
Okay then. So that's the guy that they brought up.
Another insomniac. I should find the cause for such a widespread trouble.
Key to the boiler room.
To the boiler room. All I have to do is shut off the water and hope Donovan takes the bait. She recently came back from the surgical block. She's stable. Given her file, a nephrectomy would have been inevitable. But Fuller was able to save her kidney. Mrs. Sanders? Why did nobody tell me about her admission?
The file describes the state in which Irene Sanders entered the Riverside Institute, as well as the treatments administered to her. Fuller added a handwritten note. He recommends to take her down to the psychiatric ward in order to provide her with the quiet and rest that she needs. My god, he's just killing every one of the families. She looks like a doll.
He broke his back in an accident down by the docks.
Ah, the whaling station. What's wrong with me?
What are you talking about?
Ah, doctor, that you?
Yes, it's Dr. Colden. Tell me what happened.
It's the old whaling station. See?
What did you see there?
Nothing. Nothing at all. The floor was all rotten and I fell straight through.
And that's how you broke your back?
Perhaps. No idea. Passed out.
Another patient.
Hay fever. What's he doing here?
Doctor, please. My chest. Oh.
His perfusion of a semi-physiological solution doesn't seem to work. He's undergoing a ventricular fibrillation. Nurse? Deborah, come and help me, please. His potassium level is too high. Replace it with 2% glucose solution with insulin, calcium, and sodium bicarbonate.
I'll tend to it right away.
Thank you. He's in your hands. I can't shut this with my bare hands. I need a tool.
Find a tool. Close that just in case.
The doses prescribed by Fuller are far too high.
Prescription for barbiturates.
Yeah.
It said that I deceased for a short time period there.
Live stream is offline.
Is it offline?
Nope, now it's back.
Okay. Find a tool.
Everybody says it. She's a witch, an old hag. I didn't make this up. And I'm the one who pays. What a pest. It's so unfair.
Poor girl having to do it all on her own.
The answers must be hidden in Fuller's office.
Is there no tool anywhere here?
An unknown medicine. Judging by the other ones, it causes heavy side effects.
Poor guy. Where would I find the tool though? Didn't I look everywhere?
Dr. Colden. Doctor, those people need you at the dormitory.
I'll tend to it. Don't worry. In theory, this is where Dr. Fuller always keeps his key with him.
Sorry.
The operating room is never accessible after an operation.
Where is the dormitory though? Administration, Block A, Pharmacy, Storage Room, Block B, Kitchen. Anything of interest?
Patients and hospital personnel eat the same food.
It's a quiet little town. Days go by, steady as ever. I wanted more for myself.
I don't get why they have us waiting so long. Almost no patients here.
Ethan,
Marie,
what are you doing here?
I'm waiting for my medication, of course. Why?
Tell me your symptoms.
I have headaches. And I can't sleep.
Do you suffer from insomnia?
No. Look, I don't want you to laugh at me.
Ethan, if you don't trust me, then who?
I have nightmares. They keep me awake every night. It seems stupid, I know, but they're terrible.
Actually, you're not the only one.
No. No one has ever seen the things I see. It's like I'm turning mad.
So many people have this affliction. It's like an epidemic.
Do you think it might be related to Fuller's work?
I don't know yet, but I will figure all this out. Everyone in Darkwater is suffering from nightmares.
Really?
We don't have any medication left.
Oh. There's no excuse then. I should let you work.
Take care, Ethan.
You too, Marie.
Where did my fiancée go? I hope those nutcases will stop burdening her with work.
Wasn't there someone that I needed to find?
I feel guilty about Elizabeth, but I need the diversion.
Dr. Colden, might there be a problem with the water?
I was about to mention it. It seems it's been cut off yet again.
I can't take this, Marie. I feel I'm gonna burst.
It's not your fault if we have defective plumbing.
And yet, I'm the one who gets punished because I'm gonna have to square off with that annoying old witch. Courage, Elizabeth. Here we go. And hold your tongue this time.
It's temperamental, if I understand correctly.
I'll be back.
Yeah.
At last, the missing files must be hidden here. The Stendhal syndrome. Of course. This is where Fuller found his diagnosis for Francis Sanders.
A study of the Stendhal syndrome, a particularly rare mental illness, subjects display mental disorders linked to an exposure to works of art.
I should go another way.
I don't find anything though. There's nothing here.
Something is wrong with these masts. It's some sort of puzzle. I've unlocked something. Patient file.
Cylinder was hidden inside Fuller's office.
I was right.
Is that all? Ah, here it is.
Conclusions. Session number 17. Patient? Sarah Hawkins. The patient appears to have finally accepted.
Why is Ethan on medication?
It goes without saying that these peculiar ones are the price that comes over exceptional gifts.
Why does Dr. Fuller write psychological reports about Sarah Hawkins? This finger belonged to a woman. Why keep it here?
But I found nothing to explain Mrs. Hawkins' abilities.
The poor souls downstairs are not Fuller's only subjects.
When James came, irate that Charles was keeping secrets from me. I presume that he will try to break into the basement sooner or later. I am prepared.
Hawkins, Fitzroy, and Fuller. What is the connection between these three?
It is fortunate that I had the presence of mind to set the morgue in the basement. When all the fuss about the Hawkins incident finally comes to an end, I will dispose of her belongings.
This is Sarah, isn't it?
In the meantime, they must remain hidden in plain sight.
Of course. Sarah Hawkins is the connection.
Partly burnt shoe.
I must go back to the basement.
I'm gonna play until it goes to a save file and then stop for today. Can't see my feet. I'm sad now. Oh, blood.
That's the Marie that I know. I knew I could count on your scientific curiosity. It's time to show you what you were so eager to discover.
Did I fail or something?
If you're gonna shoot me, at least have the decency to look me in the eyes.
Turn around. Slowly. Talk, filthy thief! Oh, I swear I'll shoot!
Take a minute to look around. Everything points to Charles Hawkins.
He's dead!
No. He was here for a very
And I'm back.
specific item.
Welcome back.
Oh, no.
The book. Why was it in the safe?
Have you read it?
Answer the question.
How foolish of you. Now you won't be able to escape his will. What did it show you?
She went into Fuller's office. She was looking for Sarah Hawkins' corpse.
Sarah Hawkins, you say? Let's go back to the start, shall we? Whose life did the Necronomicon choose to show you?
Dr. Colden. She was at the Riverside Institute. She's in danger. I have to go.
Wait. No one knows the occult better than me. You might need my help.
Just say yes.
All right. I might need you after all.
Perfect. Let's meet later at the Hawkins mansion. Now go. Rescue the doctor.
Thank you, Drake.
That car. A crow. Caught in the trap. Riverside Institute. The book projected Pierce into the body of Dr. Colden. The detective watched helplessly as Bradley's friend carried out her inquiry. Confronted with the experiments of Fuller, she got into his office and discovered that the director of the Riverside Institute was hiding information on, if not the body of, Sarah Hawkins. But she was discovered by Fuller. Pierce must save her before it's too late.
I pray that Colden is really here and alive.
Find Dr. Colden, but I fear that this is gonna be for the next time, so... I really don't know where this game is going at the moment. I guess we will see. Thanks for joining me, by the way.
No problem.
And I think I'll continue this tomorrow. We will see.